Okay, hold on.
You know
What's
what?
that?
That means like when I'm saying something, he had to block it like because I called her Kamala.
Yeah.
And they always say the same thing. It's almost like they have a hive mind mentality and no original thought in their brain.
Yeah,
You know what
he
I
was
said?
interrupting Carol. Move.
Kamala, whatever it is. I don't care.
Oh, you're playing a tricky game there, Shayla. You're playing a tricky game. You didn't even find the right one, did you? Now the funny thing is, I've had that happen before too, where they say, "Gosh, don't get so triggered over that." But look at when I correct her. You get a sense. How angry do I seem?
Kamala Harris won.
Kamala, you have to know the pronunciation right
No,
now.
I'll say I'll call her what I want to call her. Okay. She only won.
I'm laughing. You're the one who's serious. I'm just saying it's so weird. What is the memory problem y'all have that you can't learn a very famous person's name in politics? But okay.
Underlying premise was that Trump was authoritarian because he. Oh yeah, that's right. He kept on saying he refused to acknowledge the results of the election, and then everybody that went up against him said he passed the reins to Biden on January.
Yes.
He left the White House.
No.
Yes. But he needed to say the words, "I accept the election." It's like, no, he doesn't. I wanted to tell
Well,
him,
also,
like,
too, he said, go peacefully and patriotically.
On that whole thing. So that just started infuriating me, and I blame Jaden for finding this video. Is that really what you heard my argument to be? Anyone who watched the video, I think, will be rolling their eyes. That my only characterization of Trump being an authoritarian, the only way I have to inform that is just that he didn't say the words "I concede." Every time they asked me, "So what's your claim?" I said Trump's an authoritarian threat to democracy.
No, you can keep counting.
They would go, "What do you mean?" And I would list off, "Oh, he doesn't respect election results. Oh, he is ignoring due process, not abiding by court rulings, illegally detaining citizens, attacking media outlets that he doesn't like, illegally targeting protesters." And when I would list those, they would just go, "What do you mean doesn't it accept election results?" So then we would get focused on that because they would really take issue with that. And I go, "Oh, here's a bunch of things he did to try to illegally stay in power when he lost that election in 2020. And then their reflection on it is he just kept focusing on January 6th and all of the fake election stuff. Well, that's because that was the thing y'all just couldn't get your head around. Because I think when they hear attacking media outlets or protesters or stuff, they're like, yeah, but they're liberals, so that's all right. But on the elections part, first, I get why they would go, whoa, that sounds like a big claim. Because it is so fundamental. Because if you were really detached from a dedication to our democratic elections, you probably just with that alone would be unqualified to be president, at least in our democratic republic. And so they would get fixated on it and then turn around and blame me. Oh, so that's your only point then? No, I list off 5 other things. Why don't you want to talk about those? So that was bizarre. Let's see.
To the Capitol. Never did he say go and destroy property.
And you know what they did after that? After he said that?
They took it off of Twitter.
They literally deleted it from Twitter and banned him from every social media platform.
Yes, well, that's what they do to me too.
Yeah.
You know, like I think even on YouTube, when I looked at my
private platform, blah blah blah. You know, all of the points on that, and then let's see.
Jen, like that whole thing about authoritarianism, and then again, his basic premise was he was still upset that 4 years ago Donald Trump didn't concede the election, and that was proof he was a tyrant, right? Mm-hmm. And then so he goes through, and now he's reelected, you know, but and then now we're relitigating January 6th. January 6th is over.
Yeah,
the election's over. That was like 2 elections ago.
Okay, 2 points. Number 1, again. Okay, well then address the list that I gave you. Point 2, y'all, I think Republicans right now are doing an investigation into January 6th, but they're just investigating the investigation. And actually, no, I don't feel, aside from me wishing you would address all those other points about his attack against the First Amendment, about his attack against due process, I actually don't feel guilt at all about saying another way it kept coming up was political violence. and they'll go, "Is that the only case?" And then you go, "Melissa Hortman, Paul Pelosi," and they go, "I don't know anything about this." Actually, that's what happened in the. She went, "I don't know anything about this." Okay, but again, aside from listing other examples, yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense that we only have, or the most egregious example you could think of a politician, not a random person, but a politician approving of political violence would be them pardoning people who did it, right? And so Trump's pardons actually make it very relevant right now about the principles of Trump. Is he against political violence, or is he only against it in certain cases and perfectly okay with it and will pardon you for it if it's on his behalf? So that's another reason that it kept coming up. And for your response to be, you're just obsessed with that. Well, heck yeah. He showed himself in his rejecting of the election results and all the specific schemes I laid out, not just would he say the words, but the schemes I laid out to them, and they weren't listening, I guess. And with the pardons, in addition to all this other behavior, he has shown himself to be more aligned with authoritarian ideology. Then the bandana guy also went on a podcast and reflected, and he was more silly and lighthearted, which I appreciated, but he said this.
You've been voted out by the
I think we did better.
We did better.
Yeah, we did better.
Let's talk.
And condescending in person if he's coming across.
Yes.
Do you hear that? There was a lot of noise. She said, is he as condescending in person as he's coming off there? But I was just going, hey, I did better this time. That person I was talking to in that moment kept getting mad at me for interrupting them, so I made an effort to interrupt them less. And then she said, yeah, you did better this time. I was trying to be respectful. It's condescension.
One type of ingredient.
And bandana
I
guy
can do that with strength.
said,
right?
yeah,
It's a strength potion.
even off camera. I dispute that. You are so wrong. You don't know anything. Oh, wait, I'm condescending again. Then this, he says that I haven't seen this feedback, but a bunch of people have been giving him the feedback that he was flirting with me. And he says he wears that as a badge of honor. Is that what was happening?
He's a good buddy of mine.
Funny.
You're much more likable than Harry says.
Oh, no.
You are charming.
Oh, stop.
What do you
I like
do?
your bandana.
By the way, I had to wear it during the lockdown because Biden was so patriotic. He shut.
This is their tech. This is not us. This is their fault. This is their fault.
Yeah, just real fast, sorry. And I was saying this to Keanu, like so many people are like, this Republican's on Grindr. And I'm bragging right now.
They're saying that you are on Grindr.
They're saying I'm on Grindr. They're saying this guy's flirting with him, which I kind of was. They're like, this guy's definitely gay. One guy's like, they hooked up afterwards. And every single one, I'm like, you're goddamn right. You know, like every single one of those was a compliment. I hope they were meant as
Are
compliments.
you doing this on purpose? Like you're cheating?
I literally have no
Excuse
fucking clue
me.
what just happened.
Don't loop me into it. He says a list of things people were saying, fine. And then he goes, people were saying we hooked up afterwards. And I said, damn straight. Whoa. That didn't happen, sir. You're not my type, as Trump would say. I do have a little bit, honestly, I hate to say it.
Will it work?
I do have a little bit of a no Trump supporter rule.
Oh wait, I should have been moving.
I really do.
to the end. Okay.
I don't want to be discriminatory. It's not meant as hate. I just think I'd really struggle. To see past that. And all of our relationship would be me arguing with you about it. So then someone made this song.
Yesterday I was watching Luke Beasley on Jubilee while eating an orange, which is kind of ironic because they talked about Donald Trump.
So there has been quite a feud brewing between Joe Rogan and Gavin Newsom. And of course it started because Joe Rogan has been shitting on Gavin Newsom relentlessly for the better part of a decade. I mean, it is one of his patented rants on his show. There's the classic anti-wokeness one, which he's given about 14,000 times. But then there's also the, oh my God, California's an authoritarian hellhole rant, which he's also given 14,000 times. Almost to the point where you get the sense even like Rogan fans and Rogan supporters, even they're a little bit like, hey man, why don't you hop on this bus and go to Shut the Fuck Upsville? because it's fucking tedious. It's fucking tedious. Everybody knows it's tedious. We've heard it a million times. I think most people know that it's a very biased rant. It's not objective. It doesn't look at the upsides and the downsides of California, the upsides and the downsides of Gavin Newsom. All he does is, oh, it sucks. Oh, it's horrible. Oh my God, they were COVID authoritarians, and it's like, enough already. We fucking heard it, right? So, what happened recently is Newsom finally started firing back, and his press office account has really been leaning into it. And so you still have Rogan out there, even to this day, still out there fucking shitting on Newsom. And so Gavin Newsom's press office account said something like fucking the mini snack-sized podcast host Joe Rogan is still out there shitting on your favorite governor, me. So, of course, he's copying the Trump tweet style just sort of to highlight how ridiculous it is and hold a mirror up to the right. And so mocking Joe Rogan in one of those tweets. And then Joe Rogan the other day fired back. And when he was talking to Andrew Schultz, and he basically said, like, I would have had you on the podcast, but the way you're going about it is so ridiculous and absurd. No, I'm not going to have you on my podcast. And it's such bullshit because you've been attacking this guy for fucking 10 years straight, and he does one tweet mocking you in response, and now all of a sudden, oh, how dare you? I'm taking my ball and going home. So, I'll talk to anybody. I'll discuss anything with anybody. I'll let anybody run their mouth on my platform. Now, all of a sudden, the guy you've been shitting on for 10 years fires back, and it's, oh, I can't hear from him, and neither should you. It's just weak bullshit. And it was horseshit anyway, though. Oh, I would have had him on. No, you wouldn't have. No, you fucking wouldn't have. You fucking hate him. Own the fact that you hate him. And by the way, guys, I felt the exact same way when during the election when Rogan had on Trump, and then he was pretending like, oh yeah, I kind of want to have Kamala on too, and oh, we're in talks with the Kamala campaign. And I knew, because I know Joe Rogan. I've been on his show 5 or 6 times. I know behind the scenes he literally only wants to talk to people he wants to talk to, who he likes and who he somewhat agrees with or finds interesting. And he's always hated Kamala Harris. He had no real fucking interest in talking to Kamala Harris. That's nonsense. And so it was always like a show, like, oh yeah, oh, we're working on it, and oh, it fell through because they were being too demanding and this and that. It's like, stop pretending like you ever actually wanted to fucking talk to her. You didn't want to talk to her. Own that shit. Fucking own that shit. So Rogan fired back, and I'm not kidding when I say that since that episode with Andrew Schultz, where Rogan fired at Newsom and said, I would have had you on, but you're acting like a baby, which, by the way, he's acting how Trump acts. That's the point. But somehow you're okay with Trump when he acts like that, but when Gavin Newsom does, oh my God, that's unacceptable. Well, a bunch of people covered this on YouTube. There was a bunch of outlets that covered this on YouTube. It's all these, like, comedy outlets that, like, cover the Rogan sphere. Okay. And I have yet to see a single one that's pro Joe. And these are not like Gavin Newsom simp accounts. None of them probably even like Gavin Newsom. But even they say, this is petty, this is weak, this is pathetic, and, you're humiliating yourself, Joe. So anyway, Gavin Newsom goes on CNN to do this new show that actually was just created, I think. And he's asked a question about Rogan here, and he goes Insky. Watch this.
He hasn't, for years and years, he's been attacking me, and it's one way, and he won't have me on. He's consistently not having me on. By the way, I'm moving on. I have no interest. You're done with him? Joe Rogan's the Facebook of podcasting.
Oh, that's the most brutal thing I've ever heard in my life, bro. Joe Rogan is the Facebook of podcasting? Oh, that's the most accurate thing I've ever heard. That is so true. It's like, yeah, it was good like 10 years ago, but now it's total garbage. And, like, your racist uncle loves it.
But the thing that really gets
that's exactly what's going on with Rogan. That's so true. Oh my God, where the fuck did he get that line from? That was a moment of brilliance. That was right up there with that's a lot of beans, you nasty ass bitch. That is right up there with that. Holy shit.
Joe Rogan's the Facebook of podcasting. He was sitting across one of the brightest minds in podcasting right now. The guy was in the mic, and there are a lot of people at the mic doing extraordinary things in podcasting.
Joe Rogan's got a pretty big audience still, though.
You know what?
Yeah, but he's waning, dog. It's so funny. And me and Crystal have talked about this a lot. And I feel like you guys are in the same boat because you watch the show and, like, you're just as plugged in as we are.
Now, whatever is the most
we're always like
in the world.
4 years ahead of everybody.
Like
you know what I'm saying? So like I was watching Rogan, listening to Rogan back when he was like smaller.
That's the
you know,
trend.
and
that's
then
like
I remember starting to feel
it's what most people are watching.
Certainly by his endorsement of Trump and going back months before that. He was already like, he's sort of getting washed. He's too far right wing. Like, he's waning in relevance. And like, now people are finally fucking catching up to that. And this guy, he's still got a big audience. Yeah, but he was number one, and now he's fucking plummeting, right? Now he's slowly but surely getting less and less relevant. Even people in his own sphere have sort of caught up to him in many ways, whether it be Theo Von or Andrew Schultz. Although those guys are also fucking waning in relevance now, too, because they all fucking hopped on that MAGA bandwagon and rode the vibes, and now the vibes crash into the fucking rocks. But, like, I don't know, it's just funny to me that, like, this out-of-touch CNN host is like, it's still a huge podcast. Yeah, but the cultural force that he is no longer, right? And that's very clear. There used to be, like, no criticism of Rogan on YouTube. Now, there's, like, 1,000 channels dedicated to it. And it's not even, it's, like, good faith criticism. It's not even, like, bullshit criticism. And that says something.
But with all due respect, if he has a big audience but he doesn't have big enough confidence, I didn't go there.
Joking about him being fucking snack sized.
To have me on.
Well, you've called him a chicken.
But he's been attacking for. Here's the thing: these guys, they all have something in common. It's one way they attack, they belittle, they demean, they take things out of context. But this is a serious thing. And so often we just sit back and go, "Oh God, I really would love to go on. Oh, if Kamala Harris just went on Joe Rogan, she would have won." It's not. It's so much deeper than that. And the unwillingness for a guy like that to even have the common courtesy to attack someone and not have the decency to say, you know what, why don't you have a chance to come on? Let's have a civil dialogue. I've watched you on podcasts with like Sean Ryan, who's a close buddy of his. He had the courage on me have 4 hours.
Right.
Sean Hannity, folks like that. And so if I can go on Sean Ryan and Sean Hannity, what are you worried about? Joe, you're going to cook me or I'm going to cook myself.
Rogan is fucking scared. He's scared of having Newsom on. Because every time he's talked about California, every time he's talked about Gavin Newsom, Rogan has his, like, 4 or 5 right-wing talking points in his head that he's internalized because he believes in it. He fucking spews it out there. The guest usually, oh, yeah, okay, I guess, Joe. Nods along in agreement, right? And Gavin Newsom, like him or hate him, as everybody's pointed out, he is well fucking versed in debating. He knows way more about California than Rogan does. And so you think Joe doesn't know that? You think he doesn't know? No, he's aware of it.
No.
In fact, the only times on his show where he's actually sort of debated, he debated Steven Crowder on the issue of marijuana. That's because Joe was passionate about that issue of marijuana and having it legalized. So he's fucking pissed off when Steven Crowder was like trying to say negative things about marijuana. There was Candace Owens. He debated Candace Owens when Candace said, I don't believe in climate change at all, right? And this was back when Rogan was less insane and was like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're not a scientist. Why don't you fucking humble yourselves and listen to the experts and shit? Now Rogan is a fucking climate science denier, which shows you how fucking far he's fallen, right? There was a few examples, but to actually have on somebody who you've been shitting on for over a decade, who has fucking come prepared, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it. He's scared of that. Because then the other thing is, the style of his show usually is more agreeable. So you're gonna shit on this guy for 10 years, then have him on and like fucking try to be more casual about it and try to like clear the air with your fucking bullshit. Like, it just wouldn't work. And he's scared. I think everybody knows he's scared. I think even his audience knows he's scared. And I think he's well aware that Newsom knows how to handle himself. Love him or hate him, he knows what he's talking about. He's way more familiar with the specifics. He's way more familiar with debating. And he would get fucking trounced, bro. Like, that's what would happen. And then final point, and this one to me is the most important. Like, old school Joe Rogan, like I said, he used to be genuinely curious. He used to be genuinely interested in stuff. And so you got the sense that he actually would try to have like a well-rounded perspective on a topic. That was old school Joe Rogan. New school Joe Rogan, I mean, he's a broken record and he has no interest in having a well-rounded view on stuff. He usually falls for whatever the right-wing bullshit scandal of the day is, the scandal du jour, and he runs with it, right? So he doesn't know the first fucking thing about Newsom's record. So just to give you an example, I could tell you good things, I could tell you bad things he did. In fact, here, let me start with some bad shit. He vetoed a bill, Gavin Newsom did, to do universal health care in California. That's something I will always criticize him for, and it shows he's still beholden to business interests. That's a horrible thing. He vetoed a bill to get private equity out of healthcare in California. Again, cucking himself to big business. He vetoed a bill to crack down on pharmacy benefit managers. Those are the middlemen who increase the price of drugs. So again, they clearly donated to him, bought him, and he's a scummy politician in that respect. Everybody knows California has, a homelessness problem among many other problems. So there's real problems there, and I can tell you them because I've researched the issue, I've looked into the issue, and I care about the issue, and I want to know the truth. And Rogan will tell you some of those things, but he doesn't even know all of those things because, again, he has some fucking warmed over handful of right-wing talking points he just spews. But here's what Rogan doesn't know and wouldn't say. Newsom, at the same time, Republicans around this country were banning books they didn't like. Newsom banned book bans in California to protect the First Amendment. That's based as fuck. That's based as fuck. He signed a bill for California to make their own insulin because, of course, the price of pharmaceutical drugs is really expensive. The price of insulin is really expensive. People rely on it to survive. So he had California make their own insulin. It's $11 per vial. It's fucking $300 in the rest of the country. Does Rogan know that? Has Rogan given him credit for that? Has Rogan said, hey, wait a second, that's actually something good that the government should do? And credit to Gavin Newsom for doing that because that's like leading the way in the U.S., having government-made pharmaceuticals to save people money so they don't have to fucking die while trying to get their drugs. Newsom also stopped maternity wards from closing in California. He gave doxing victims the right to sue. He banned medical debt from credit reports. And he did sectoral bargaining for fast food workers in California. So that means that now I think it's like $20 or $25 an hour is the minimum wage if you work in fast food in California. That's all fucking great. And Rogan knows none of those things, and he'd give credit for fucking none of those things because he's a hack. And he's made his mind up about Gavin Newsom, and he refuses to have him on. So Donald Trump gets to come on his show, and Donald Trump gets to fucking run his mouth and lie to Rogan's audience for 3 hours straight and lie to Rogan's face for 3 hours straight. Remember when he said, I never said lock her up. My audience would say lock her up about Hillary, and I'd say, oh, that's a little too far. He said this to Rogan's face. Meanwhile, there's fucking compilations that last forever of course, Trump saying lock her up. It was like one of his unofficial campaign slogans. The fuck are you talking about? So Trump gets to go in front of him and fucking lie to the, and Rogan says, I'm going to give you some space to explain your position on the 2020 election because I know you say it's stolen, but people always cut you off. So, I'll let you talk the whole time. Trying to make a virtue out of letting the liar lie as opposed to holding him accountable and fucking grilling him, right? So, Trump can come on and say whatever he wants, no fucking fact checks. Rogan becomes like a fucking little schoolboy who's starstruck and in awe. But Gavin Newsom can't fucking come on and give you facts and give you actual information. It's just so... He's just a right-wing hack. He's just a right-wing hack at this point. And the funny thing is, he doesn't see himself that way. Every now and then, when Trump goes too far, he'll come out and he'll do the most tepid disagreement of all time. Bro, I don't know. I think maybe it's a bad idea to get rid of due process completely, bro. And everybody goes, oh, look at him. What a moderate. He's standing up to Trump. Meanwhile, he will never call him out by name. Fucking ever. Why? He's with Dana White, who's fucking... super close with Trump. He's texting with fucking J.D. Vance and Elon Musk all the time. Elon Musk, the guy who cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels. That's Rogan's fucking buddy, right? He's probably called and talked to Trump on the phone and shit. Now he's in the club. So even when he criticizes, it's tepid and he'll never bring up Trump by name. But when it comes to Gavin, no, you're not even allowed to hear from him. He who shall not be fucking heard from is Gavin Newsom. So Rogan's a bitch, and he fancies himself like, I got left-wing ideas, I got right-wing ideas, I'm like above the fray, I'm like a centrist. You're not even a centrist. Spare us. And everybody sees it, and everybody knows it, and everybody knows Gavin Newsom would run fucking circles around you, and that's why you're hiding from him. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
And I just needed a basic... And then... Okay, fine.
It's been over 120 days since the mayoral primary in New York City, where Zohran Mamdani won by 12 points in the final count for ranked choice voting. It wasn't close, and he also, I believe, won Hakeem Jeffries' own district by double digits. Chuck Schumer has still refused to endorse Zohran Mamdani, and we can kind of ask questions about why you think that's the case in just a bit. But It varies between being beholden to pro-Israel donors and also just maybe his own anti-Palestinian racism. I can't decide which one, or anti-Muslim racism.
In a word, Zionism.
Yeah, I can't decide which one takes precedence here. But he was asked again about whether or not he's going to vote for the Democrat. We were told over and over again, vote blue no matter who. And folks like myself, despite being Bernie supporters, have abided by that. There's this fiction that this is what comes from the left when you have the leader of the Democrats in the Senate refusing to get behind the Democratic nominee here in New York City. Here is this weak so-called leader being asked about this yesterday.
Subject?
Oh, they did skip.
You gonna vote for him? Look, the bottom line is very simple. I have a good relationship with him, and we're continuing to talk.
Wait, keep going. You can hear Manu Raju, who asked the question, say the election is, voting's already started or something, like the election's in less than a week. Here, play.
The vote is on Tuesday. What are you going to do?
He just walks out. What are you going to do? Look, we don't need, Zoran doesn't need these guys' endorsement, even the lukewarm Hakeem Jeffries one where he refused to like basically even say his name. I will vote for the Democrat in the race.
Even though they disagree on foreign policy?
Right. For
New York mayor?
For New York mayor. How coded is that? But like, I mean, it's just, there used to be this talk about how unity shows strength within the Democratic Party. And the people that are actively fomenting disunity among like at the very top level, because when you see the base, like they're united in cut funding to Israel, raise taxes on the rich. There's like a radicalizing anger that's happening right now within the liberal base. And people like Chuck Schumer are refusing to embrace that because of Zionism. And it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, no, that was really stark and obvious. I wish he had come out even harder and be like, no, I don't believe in voting. Electoralism is broken. And just like walk away.
Right. You should be organizing in your community instead.
Yeah. We're in one of the darkest points in democracy's history, I would say, since Jim Crow. And in large part, it's because of the two leaders of the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. Pramila Jayapal, who led the House Progressive Caucus, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, stepped down after the last election because she thought she needed to take accountability for failure. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer stayed in their positions and are driving us, basically collaborating with fascism when you count the original budget continuation, which is when this stand should have been made personally. So I hope that the Republicans crack on this shutdown stuff, but the fact that Schumer and Jeffries are leading it is not a good sign to me.
No. And let's play 9 here just to buttress your point about how this is a collaboration with fascism. The refusal to get behind Zoran in a sign of unity is enabling things like this. Chuck Schumer is endangering his constituents by not showing unity with Zoran Mamdani. Look at what Pritzker is doing with Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Now, they have had a feud. They have not gotten along. But the two of them are standing shoulder to shoulder and basically saying, we are going to stand up against ICE and the fascists trying to terrorize our communities. Now, meanwhile, we have the top 2 Democrats on the federal level in terms of leadership who are from the city that this upstart, energizing Democratic Socialist is potentially going to lead. We'll see, given the race, what happens. Anyone's guess. But the point is that listen to Tom Homan. And if you had a united Democratic front within the state of New York, this would be a lot harder. But they are setting Zoran up to have to stand alone at the very least, maybe with Hochul, hopefully with Hochul, I think so, but not with Schumer and Jeffries, apparently.
And whose side are they on?
Seems like maybe more Holman's here.
Mr. Hellman, Zoran Mamdani, the likely next mayor of New York City's promised not to cooperate with you or with ICE or deportations of any kind. Do you have a plan? Is there a plan to work around that? How are you going to handle that?
Good luck on that, because we're going to be in New York City, and President Trump said it 2 weeks ago. We're going to double down, triple down on sanctuary cities. Why? Not because they're a blue city or a blue state, because we know that's where the problem is. We know they're releasing public safety threats and national security threats to the streets every day because they don't honor our detainers. We know that. We don't have that problem like in Florida, where every sheriff in the state's working with us. So where we're going to send our assets, we're going to send them where the problem is. Sanctuary cities. So I've said it before, we'll flood the zone of sanctuary cities. If they don't let us arrest a bad guy in the county jail, they're going to arrest him in the community. We're going to arrest him at a work site. So we're going to increase community operation. We're going to increase work site enforcement operation. We're going to get the bad guys. So if they don't want to help, get out of the way. We're coming to do it.
You know who's gotten out of the way? Preemptively? Chuck Schumer.
Has to be said about sanctuary city laws for people who don't understand that two things. They are uncontroversially good for public safety. Anybody who doesn't agree with that is a moron. There's a reason things like places like the NYPD and stuff go along with it. It's not because they're bleeding hearts. It's because having communities be able to report crimes or like violations or safety hazards, public safety hazards, is a good thing. And they're an example, and B, they're an example of sane policy regarding non-citizens. That is why they're being attacked, because the Trump administration cannot tolerate sane policy about how we, which is to say, contrasting with this Gestapo stormtrooper freakout that we're seeing across the country right now, where even people who do have documentation or are born in this country get arrested in front of their kids because they can't remember their social security number off the top of their fucking head.
Yep. The online trash bag, don't let Cory Booker off the hook either. New Jersey Democrats should be standing behind Zoran across the board, but especially in the neighboring state that benefits greatly from proximity to the largest city in the country.
He's busy standing with Africa.
Yeah.
As a guy
but you know what's
who is
going to be
focusing so much of my effort on ending human suffering on the planet Earth.
It's also going to be super frustrating, like, because once he does win, and just like they did with Bernie, they start adopting a lot of his rhetoric because it's so overwhelmingly positive. They start like adopting Zoran rhetoric and, you know, mannerisms and fundraising off of his profile, but like never fully like ever reckoning with the fact that they do not support him at all. Same with like AOC, like just never reckoning with the fact that like just don't really actively want her or Bernie around, but because they're so viable politically
by design. And you can see the response with people out there saying, oh, well, then anyone who's close to, yeah, this is an.
First year. One of the biggest public battles was back when Candace Owens worked for the Daily Wire, and Crowder was offered a very lucrative $50 million offer from the Daily Wire to go work in their network, and said it was akin to slave wages, and he was refusing to do that. Then he said that the Daily Wire was in cahoots with big tech and started a whole take down the Daily Wire and big tech movement, and was pretty, handedly exposed as a complete and utter fraud who basically didn't understand very basic contract law when it came to broadcasters. Like, it's totally within reason if someone's offering you $50 million that they're going to say you should be able to generate profits, and they should be able to garnish some of those profits, and depending on how viral your videos go, they are then going to be able to determine how much they're able to generate off that video. It's not unusual, especially for a contract of that nature. He was offered the same amount that the #1 broadcasting newscasters in America are offered. Nonetheless, he got real mad about it and started a whole movement, and obviously created a lot of enemies in the process. That was back when Candace Owens was still working for the Daily Wire and was still friendly with the Daily Wire before she had her own falling out with the company. Now he's really mad at her because she is saying things that I've said before no liberal or leftist or progressive or socialist or communist or anarchist could ever say out loud. Because you would not only probably have your visa revoked, you might be imprisoned, you definitely lose your job. Like, anyone who would say anything remotely true about Charlie Kirk, shortly after his death, was really risking a lot of stuff in the process. Like if you said something like he's divisive, or if you said he's racist, then people were like, oh my God, how could you? He has a family. He has a wife. He had children. This is so disgusting. I can't believe you're mocking his death. No, I'm not. I'm just not sugarcoating the fact that he was a pretty avowed white supremacist. Like that's who he was. Why do you want to completely tarnish his legacy? I mean, the guy was pretty fucking overt. I can't imagine a guy, if you were to take like the sum total of his work and not reflect upon that as being white supremacist. But sure, you do you. This is the time we're living in. Very, very frightening time where cancel culture by fascists and Nazis is pretty aggressive and true and powerful, where they will come for you, come for your job, come for your family, come for your livelihood. In the case of Canada, there was two Indigenous women who were politicians who made very inflammatory statements. One of them said that Charlie Kirk was racist, that he was divisive, and she not only had to apologize, but she had her offices firebombed. And there wasn't nearly as much media coverage on the firebombing of her office as there was at the fact that everyone was disgusted and outraged that she had the audacity to say something like he was a racist, and people were getting so big mad about that. So it's been a really, really scary time everywhere when it comes to discussing Charlie Kirk. Not for Candace Owens. Candace Owens has not only been spreading conspiracy theories that it may be because it was a secret assassination by Israel, implied, by the way. She didn't directly say that Israel was responsible for his assassination, which is also really weird considering the fact that at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was a pretty avowed and proud Zionist, was consistently saying things that were, validating a lot of Israel's worst atrocities, war crimes, genocide, stuff like that. So publicly, Charlie Kirk was supporting Israel. Privately, it turns out that Charlie Kirk, much like Candace Owens and a lot of these, far-right bigots, may have been very anti-Semitic. That can be true as well. Both things can be true. He can be privately sending texts to Candace Owens or other people that are very, very anti-Semitic, talking about how he doesn't trust Jewish people, how, the stereotypes are true, they only want money and stuff like that. Those texts turned out to be valid and true. So Charlie Kirk, like a lot of, examples when it comes to people who are avowed Zionists, they can also be anti-Semitic. That is the thing. This is why a lot of the most prominent and the vast majority of Zionists in the United States happen to be Christian nationalists who really, I would say, care less about, securing safety for the Jewish people as they are trying to usher in some weird biblical prophecy at the same time. But nonetheless, she went from talking about that to potentially talking about how Donald Trump and his administration have been trying to cover up the Charlie Kirk assassination. She's even gone as far as saying that perhaps Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica Kirk, may be involved somehow. Again, the kind of things that if you were anything to the left of center in terms of your politics and you said out loud, you would be castrated for. But in this case, Candace Owens is just going full steam ahead with all of it. And again, I file this all under this kind of a segment.
Later. Let's make this one and then.
Let them fight.
Not. And I know she'll give herself an out and say that's not what I was implying. But you watch this clip in its entirety, and it seems pretty blatant that she's saying, and people are interpreting it this way, which is also important, that the Trump administration,
it's gonna take fucking forever.
Not whatever it was, we went from underground Jew tunnels, Mossad. The Trump administration killed Charlie Kirk.
Just really needed to just take a breather and really process everything that happened with Charlie and what it kind of means in terms of where we are. And I think it is a circumstance where we just know. We just know that he was truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing?
That
You know what I
one
mean?
might-
Like,
that
I'm Martin
one
Luther King.
a few
What about
back
this
might have worked,
holiday? What about this
but
boulevard? Anyways, let me
gonna
knock
be a
up.
better one.
Like, they're gonna give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you. There's no way. That's like their signature thing. It's like that's what they do. It's the Fed signature. It's how they sign off after they murder you. They're like holiday and a boulevard, and it's never on a nice side of town either. Like Charlie Kirk Boulevard is not gonna be a nice side of town.
Do you imagine if Sam Cedar said this? If this was coming out of the mouth of Sam Cedar, if this was like a Sam Cedar segment, like there would be riots on the street right now calling for the fucking the abolition of the Majority Report. That it's a hate network, it has to be taken down. They're spreading vile conspiracy theories. Just wild.
I will be back on the 27th, you guys. Thank you guys for all the support throughout these couple of weeks, these last really kind of 6 weeks since Charlie died, and we will see you guys then.
Well, let me first be tactful here and tell you that outrageous claims, and this is an outrageous claim, require outrageous evidence. Of course, as is par for the course, none has been presented. And I know that there might be a weaseling here saying, oh, well, I said the Fed,
Isn't it
not the
extraordinary
Trump administration.
claims?
I said a boulevard in Israel.
Like,
Pretty
that-
clear.
I was like, outrageous.
What she said was, they, the Fed, give you a boulevard when that's a sure sign that they have killed you. You know that they have killed you. He was betrayed in the worst way possible, giving so much of his life to the Trump presidency, to politics.
I'm sure you've all seen that, really popular on the right little headline from an article that shows that there's way more cohesive thought amongst people who are more gravitating towards leftward politics, that they actually start to believe in the same things, the stuff like 2 + 2 = 4. And then as you move towards the right, they try to say that there's way more diversity of thought. But that diversity of thought is essentially like flat earthers going up against anti-vax truthers, right? Like people who believe that like when you inject yourself with the vaccine, you get some kind of 5G magneto power, versus people who are like, well, we have absolutely no evidence that the earth is round, versus, other people who believe that there's a trans ideology trying to control everybody. Like, yeah, okay, there's a ton of people who don't believe in reality in all different corners of the further you go to the right, who believe in all kinds of conspiracy theories, including anti-Semitic ones, in which like Jewish people control the media, they control all politics, and they're trying to control your lives. Like those things all happen on the right because, again, no one is actually grounding anything in reality. And so this really is a beast of your own creation, right? If you have all these individuals where you were completely fine with Candace Owens espousing the worst, most racist, or the most homophobic shit, if it served your own purposes. If it was like, okay, yeah, well, I mean, she's going after the gays. I don't care. I hate the gays. So let her say whatever she wants. It doesn't matter to me. Or it's like, oh, I don't care. She's going after Jewish people. I mean, yeah, we all don't like Jewish people, so she can espouse whatever she wants. She's going after the Black Lives Matter movement. She's saying the entire thing was just funded by Soros or something. Fine. There's multiple things we don't like all at once being espoused. So we're fine with that. This is totally fine. And now all of a sudden, Candace Owens is untethered and she's got her own show, and she's way more popular than the Daily Wire ever was. And
Oh my God,
she's now one of the titans of right-wing punditry. And as such, guess what? Yeah, like this is not going to slow down. she's not going to suddenly come to Jesus in the way you want and suddenly realize, oh, this is kind of just absurd for me to be espousing these kind of things. It's going to be, again, this is just a circular firing squad of which I have to sit back and say, let them fight and enjoy. Here you all go.
Okay, too bad I'll never be able to set that up again.
The federal government, the Trump administration, killed Charlie Kirk is the claim. Now I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, what I think about it. Because who else would have to be involved? And this is the implication, of course, by design. And you can see the response with people out there saying,
All right.
oh, well, then anyone who's close to, this is an inside job. You know who's really close to President Trump? And you know who people are now saying stood to gain? Well, Charlie's wife, Erica Kirk, who has now been put, Candace, with that language, with this accusation, has put the wife of Charlie Kirk, and she'll say, that's not what I tried to do. It is. It's the result. Erica Kirk in the crosshairs.
Oh, no.
It's not like you have to.
Oh, no.
People got fired for their jobs for saying that Charlie
not the
Kirk
person
was
that's been like
divisive.
rapidly targeting people.
That he was a divisive figure. And you have the biggest names on the right wing battling it out now to assume or insinuate
God, I keep doing it.
that his
Fuck
wife
me,
had
dude.
something
Okay,
to do
I'm
with a
quitting. I'm never playing
conspiracy
this game again.
to assassinate him. This is all coming from the right, baby. This is what you get. You know, the giant, you saw the picture. You saw the giant. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of diversity of thought on the right. Boy, is there ever. Holy shit.
Look through 6 degrees of separation.
I like that Crowder is basically like, outrageous claims require outrageous proof, which, yeah, okay, that fine. I have no disagreement there. But then he's like, here's my proof. Look at this.
With the choice of proof.
And you can see post after post and article after article with both Kirks, but certainly Erica praising, thanking President Trump, discussing how important his support has been. So if the Trump administration, if the Fed killed Charlie Kirk, look, there's no middle ground here right now. Either Erica Kirk is evil and was in on it, or Candace Owens is an evil cunt.
Yes.
I hope I'm being really clear about that.
That won't work.
And saying, well, she didn't connect all the dots just is not an excuse when there is a grieving family right now who's not just left holding the bag, but you know very well will put Erica Kirk in the crosshairs. Let me ask you this: if you were killed,
They're using this kind of.
If you were,
the rhetoric is so ridiculous because
does Steven Crowder suddenly care about women or wives?
God, the fuck up.
What happened to him exactly?
Nobody cares
if we were to roll the clock back and realize what was one of the first real big contentious fights that him and Candace were having. I think that was surrounding his divorce when he was advocating for really, being against no-fault divorce and really hating the fact that that Ring video from him verbally abusing his wife while she was pregnant with twins came out, and everyone was like, oh my God, this guy's a disgusting monster. And I was like, yeah, I told you. Always has been.
Killed. And someone out there for clicks, clickbait, headlines, went out and espoused conspiracy theories with zero evidence that put your wife or your husband in the crosshairs, where you knew after you had passed that the person you love was going to have to deal with fallout and accusations of killing you and villainized. It'd probably be as close to coming back
I get really angry when that happens.
as a haunting as you could possibly hope for, right?
And again, if I cared about either of these people, which I don't, I'm just loving the self-destruct mode that's going on in both directions here. I would start to pick apart all the parts of the argument and be like, well, actually, technically, what she didn't say was that. You're actually inferring a lot of things. I'm like, no, I don't need to waste a single brain cell on this. Just keep on ramping it up, please. I just get to sit back and enjoy every fucking second of this, because all of it is batshit. All of it. All of you horrifying, racist-ass, fascist pieces of shit. Oh my God, look. They're all turning on each other because they have no beliefs or principles. Look at that. Who'd have thunk that we get to this point? You know?
Erica Kirk is in on this, and just to be clear, that's obviously rhetoric.
They
of course she's not. And of course there's no evidence that she was. And of course there will be some very unstable people, which is by design from Candace, who will accuse me of being paid by the Trump administration or Mossad or whatever it is. Insert all the crap here. Either Erica Kirk is evil and conspired with the Trump administration to kill her husband, Charlie Kirk, to assassinate him in cold blood, or Candace Owens has officially crossed the Rubicon to evil.
What?
So I just gotta wonder, because he broadcast this live on Rumble, And apparently, you know, Rumble, you can say and do whatever you want. And Crowder is, of course, Mr. Free Speech man and doesn't care about censorship or stuff like that. But they planned this segment ahead of time. And so definitely, you know, he's sitting in the room beforehand. He's going to be, okay, and then at that point, I'm going to call her an evil. And you have to push the button and you censor it. You know, I don't want the clips.
Tell me if you disagree, and we'll take your chat on it later. But those are my initial thoughts. And I'm going to call it, gonna weasel out. And I didn't say that, and I didn't imply that, and we're just asking questions. You need to do better. One final thing. People have talked about this. Is it true? Is it not? Is that actually the PSYOP where the left has wanted to drive a wedge between those on the right? Do you think that fracturing those on the right over a baseless conspiracy that the most effective president in modern American history killed one of the most effective public figures in modern American history, who's survived by his wife, who happens to be very close with a supportive president?
Oh, it doesn't feel good, does it? When there's just like unhinged conspiracy theories that can basically really damage a lot of people's lives. I wonder what that's like, Steven, being on the other side of, huh? You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? Spreading those on a regular basis for a living. Like, this has been his job on a regular basis, by the way, spreading all this vile bullshit, you know, basically trying everything in his power to be able to be like, just so everyone knows, I'd like to propose a couple things. That I believe that there's a trans agenda that is actively working to destroy the fabric of the American household and rip families apart, and that they're actually mutilating the genitals of children, and that they are trying to put boys in girls' sports and men in women's sports, and this is all part of a larger, you know, very well-funded apparatus. I think it goes all the way from the top, most likely from Soros, in order to make sure that people's again, Christian families are torn apart at the seams. It's like, no, that's true.
On the internet,
no, but that is going to affect a lot of people's lives and make children's lives very scary and frightening. And now is this horrifying little boogeyman who happens to be most likely a closeted bisexual who's going to be spending all this time and energy while he's fighting his own desires and urges, trying to make the lives of queer folk infinitely more scary. That's what Steven Crowder does. But now it just happens to be directed at you
spread
and
harmful
yours.
lies about people.
I couldn't think of a more effective wedge issue. So either way, if it's stupidity or it's proactive evil, you must do better, sweetheart. On with the show.
Okay. So I wanted to look up a little bit of the history between Candace Owens and Crowder. I had to go back to this old article from when they were previously fighting. We know who Crowder is. Like Owens, Crowder identifies as a conservative Christian. The two content creators seem ideologically aligned, but they began feuding in January 2023 after Crowder turned down a $50 million deal to join the Daily Wire, which he described as a slave contract. Crowder went on to accuse the company of engaging in big tech censorship in a video which sparked an intense feud with Ben Shapiro, the co-founder of the Daily Wire. Owens, who's employed by the Daily Wire, denounced Crowder's video as a total bitch move and inserted herself into the feud by releasing a video where she repeatedly hints that she knows of something embarrassing in Crowder's personal life, stating that his actions are a symptom of something much larger. Steven has a lot going on. I guess this is the best way to say it. Owens went on to urge her audience to pray for Crowder. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. Steven purports to be a Christian, and I believe that he will need to lean into his faith, and I'm certain that in the near future, more information will come out. Steven Crowder's divorce. On Tuesday, Crowder released a video announcing that he'd been going through what was increasingly been a horrendous divorce since 2021. The video sparked shock and mockery on Twitter, as Crowder repeatedly implies that he was upset that Texas law allows his wife to divorce him without his consent. Which, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Because in Texas, they still
She simply wanted out,
no-fault
and the law says that's how it works. One thing that is undeniable in this case, it's no one's fault but my own, in that I picked wrong. If you listen to Steven Crowder talk about his divorce, the thing that makes him more angry is that his wife can legally divorce him without his permission. True. I was also, scrolling through this Forbes article to try and find like the old dirt on the two of them, and it looks excited.
For one party to divorce when the other one doesn't want to, even though it's still legal for that to happen.
Crowder then turned his attention to other people in positions of power, influence, and leverage who knew about the divorce and said these people knew that the safety of my children included keeping it private. So if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling. Some of these threats were so thinly veiled that frankly, I'm surprised you didn't guess them all immediately. Crowder then played a clip of Candace Owens' comments from January and criticized self-styled Christians, hinting that he might take legal action if the YouTube drama scene delves too deep into his personal life, stating, I'll be handling this through proper legal avenues and channels available as a matter of record in which I have the more than full confidence. Owens quickly hit back, releasing a video titled Steven Crowder accused me of extortion, in which she legally threatened actions of her own, warning that she had contacted a defamation lawyer, and I'm sending Steven Crowder a cease and desist, then stating that she is going to demand a full-throated retraction. Now again, I had said a little bit a while ago, I think it was on the Leftist Mafia, that I definitely recalled at one point she also implied that Steven Crowder dropped into her Instagram replies and was getting a little creepy. And like, I wanted to be sure about that because I tell no lies, right? I'm not just trying to fabricate things. These ghouls are like awful and terrible and malicious enough on their own. So I wanted to be able to pull that up, and it took me a while to dig and find it, but I did find it, and I do have the receipts.
Crowder is somebody who has a show called Louder with Crowder, who had something very terrible happen to him at the end of last year. The Daily Wire came to him with a $50 million term sheet. He was offered $50 million. I know, horrible, terrible. He was so upset by this that he then decided to do a video in which he calls out essentially all of the Daily Wire hosts, myself included, for accepting slave-like contracts. These were the very heavy implications of that video, that we needed to, his followers needed to stop Big Con. And of course, we responded forcefully to this because it's simply not true. The idea that I'm somehow in bed with big tech or that I'm dishonest in what I do simply because we didn't accept, I guess, his counteroffer to the $50 million contract is pointedly ridiculous. Now, why are we talking about him again? Well, when in closing back in January, I essentially said that we were no longer going to talk about Steven Crowder, and I instead offered that people should pray for him because obviously, when a man does something like that, he is broken. You don't do something like that to your friends unless there is something going on in your personal life. Well, Steven Crowder announced this morning that he is going through a divorce, and I want to show you bits of that video. Take a listen.
Wait, when did Lance
But needed to take a moment here to address some issues out there that are circulating. It's never fun. But, well, I guess let me be clear here. I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now.
Boot?
Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there's no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice.
Okay, so in the open, you get it. Steven Crowder is a victim. Once again, he's always a martyr for his belief. He's always a victim. And this time, it's the proverbial boot on the neck. He's literally George Floyd. So the idea here is you need to feel really bad for Steven Crowder right away because he's got a boot on his neck. Let's see what else he said.
They're both so awful.
So if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling well. Now, some of these threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised you didn't all guess immediately.
Steven has a lot going on, I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to this situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. You know, Steven purports to be a Christian. I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. You know, maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances.
Well, my children have a right to privacy. Now, some other issues have been, or I should say, inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information that they believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used.
Just wondering, Was he wearing the exact same shirt? Oh, no, it's a different one. I was like, I wondered if that was his, like, I'm battling Candace Owens today shirt. It's my safety shirt.
It's knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So to those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies,
Spider-Man costume.
well, not in my book. Now, if you find yourself, I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did X person or did Y person know? The answer is likely yes.
So much that I want to say here. First and foremost, if you're a person that watches his show, how do you not see that he is so obviously acting and that he is a very bad actor? Do you feel bad for him when he says that? When he says, if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, well, if you are familiar with the idea of extortion, you should realize that that video that he just showed of me wasn't that. Nobody...
I honestly, I just love when they fight each other. It's so glorious. Because, like, I think Steven thinks that she's just going to back down, like most people probably do when he starts flexing all his money, right? Like, he's just basically like, hey, I'm going to take the legal path here, and I'm going to do a cease and desist if you don't stop, and, I'm going to sue you because, I'm very powerful kind of stuff. It just makes Candace angrier. Like if there was a character select screen, if there was like, a Super Smash Brothers, choose your character for bigots, I think most people would probably pick Candace Owens over Steven Crowder because she's going to have some 100%. Power moves and special moves that like he's just like powerless against. She gets so much more personal and nasty every single time that Steven Crowder like does or says something where it's basically like, I'm just looking after my children or something like that. She's like, oh, I've got more receipts. I've got more tea.
Threatened him. Nobody made demands behind closed doors. His insinuation that I knew about his divorce before he decided to attack the Daily Wire is a pointed lie. Let me tell you what actually went on behind the scenes.
Oh?
Steven Crowder on election night was our friend. He was on the backstage with all of us, laughing, having a great time. He even sent me a retrospectively very flirty message thereafter on Instagram about how nice I looked on election night, even though I didn't respond to it.
You knew it. It's so funny too because so much of this always goes down to like a rejected dude. Also, what was he thinking? she's married with kids in this like hyper fucking Christian institution that is like the Daily Wire style fucking word. Oh, you looked really good tonight. Oh, I was just wondering if you want to talk about business or God. Maybe we could talk about Jesus together.
Just like an awkward joke.
Thereafter, obviously, he attacked the Daily Wire. He decided to record his friend, Jeremy Boring, and to release the recording out of context to make it seem like Jeremy Boring knows that he's employing all of us like we're slaves, right? This is what Steven Crowder did. We had a right to respond forcefully to all of his claims. We all did that on our different platforms. And then I said to myself, just sitting there one day, why is he doing this? It's a very simple question and an obvious question that any person would ask. This is not normal behavior. It's very erratic to go from being friends with somebody, being with them on election night, laughing, having a great time, to suddenly wanting to ruin their entire company and launching Stop Big Con. It's bizarre behavior. I turned to my husband and I said, where's his wife in all of this? Isn't she supposedly a Christian? I'm just thinking about the way that I talk about everything in my life with my...
Which is also really funny, because, at some point she would have been like, oh, whoa, crazy. I just got a DM from Steven Crowder. He slid into my DMs on Instagram. Oh, what is the Steven Crowder? Oh, that's crazy. What did he want? He says I looked really good on election night, that I'm really pretty, and wondering if I wanted to collaborate on something. What? Yeah, that's weird.
Husband. Every night I'm talking to him about what's going on at work. I thought to myself, where is Hillary Crowder in all of this? How did she not tell him not to do something this vicious and this disgusting? And then I said to my husband, I bet they're not even together. I logged on to Instagram and I found Hillary Crowder's Instagram account, and I looked to see, and it turned out that she didn't follow Steven Crowder and that Steven Crowder didn't follow her. He didn't follow anybody in her family, and she wasn't following anybody in his family. That was my aha moment. Clearly, there was some sort of a separation. Now, this might sound like crazy CIA stuff, woman stuff. It's exactly what happened. I then spoke to Jeremy at the Daily Wire, and I said, do you think that him and his wife were potentially separated? And he said, no. Obviously, it's his friend. He would have known whether or not they were separated, except he didn't. He actually had no idea if they were separated either. Finally, we decided in conclusion, Jeremy advised, that we just stay out of it, that this is actually not our business, but at least it actually felt good to learn that he was going through something privately because it assigned some reason for something that he did that was so horrific and so irrational to his friends. And finally, we said, okay, this is a broken man. This is what I was thinking. This is a broken man who is on some sort of a spiral. It is likely his divorce that led to this moment. He's acting erratic. He's acting panicked. And this at least gives us some sort of an excuse for why he behaved this way. That's it. That's the big, scary story. I then went onto my platform and I said, pray for Steven Crowder, honestly, because that's what he needs. He needs a prayer. And apparently, nobody's answering those prayers right now because he's still acting erratic. He's now upping the ante and suggesting that I extorted him. I will not take that lightly, okay? I am not Hillary Crowder. I am not anybody in his family. I am not going to take somebody going onto his platform and alleging that I either harassed, threatened, or did anything that would put his children at risk. That is very serious stuff that he is saying. And so what I did this morning after this clip was sent.
They deserve each other. It's so amazing. Just you can't imagine a better feud, you know, between two horrifying individuals.
To me, is I contacted a defamation lawyer, and I am sending Steven Crowder a cease and desist, and I'm going to demand a full-throated retraction to the idea that Candace Owens threatened him or extorted him. And not that I simply did a little math. 1 + 1 = 2. A crazy man doing these sorts of things to his friends obviously means that something is going on personally. Honestly, this time, I'm not even going to suggest that anybody should pray for him. I am so deeply troubled by the idea that he is trying to insert me into this narrative pertaining to his divorce. I'm frankly angry about this. So I'm going to hope that he does the right thing, okay? That he does another one of his live feeds on the exact same platform and via the exact same medium and offers me an apology and takes back every single word that he says. And, by the way, if you think that that's bad, here's how he decided to end this clip pertaining to his divorce.
It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life. That's not my choice.
Yeah, probably not an abusive weirdo. It was like, go pick up the dog food, wife. I'm pregnant with twins. Yeah, well, you better clean and pick up dog food. You're just sitting on the couch smoking a cigar. What the fuck are we doing here?
I'm sorry.
And then you get me a sandwich, wife. You're not allowed to take the car. Why do we only have one car? We're worth like $150 million. This makes no sense.
That's what
we
happens.
can have a fleet of cars.
Every time I see him,
why do I have to Uber? You have to Uber. That way I know where you are on the app and I can see it. You go get me that dog food, and then you go put that dog medication in his ears. Watch it. It's like, yeah, what a surprise. Someone didn't want to be in an abusive relationship with a fucking insecure fucking man baby tyrant. I for one am shocked. I can't believe things didn't work out for him. And he was like, yeah, the only thing I'm really upset about here is that I picked the wrong woman, and that there are apparently the ability for women to divorce their husbands without the husband's consent. That's actually a really good thing, because when they're in abusive relationships, like clearly, you know, the footage speaks for itself, they were, it's probably going to be a beneficial thing for women. And fuck you, you monster. And let them fight. Just keep going. I hope Candace Owens does an entire segment on him and exposes way more dirt. It doesn't even seem like you have to do too much detective work when it comes to Steven Crowder. You can just go onto his fucking Instagram and realize there are certain people he just randomly like unfollows, like his wife, well before the divorce was announced. Like, she wasn't doing incredible detective work there. That's just something anyone could have looked up, and then no one really bothered to do it except for Candace Owens. She was like, I wonder why he's being so weird. Why is he hitting on me, and why is he dropping into my DMs, and now why is he getting so mad that I don't agree with him, and then he's actually going out of his way to say like I'm going to sue her and stuff like that. That seems weird.
These are
reasonable like, let's check out. Oh, that's weird. He's not following his wife. Oh, that's weird. His wife's not following him. I think this one speaks for itself.
Thank you so much to our patrons for making this show possible. We could not fund it without you. And if you want to join,
we have a couple more TYT things. We have the backlash from that recent interview they posted
you want to get into that again before we actually give Cenk a boatload of credit? Which, trust me, we're gonna do. We're capable of doing it. We're willing and ready to do it. We just have a little bit more roasting to get out of the way before we give the man some credit.
Yeah, honestly,
Although,
this kind of
if I
thing,
fucked up the,
it really
recipe.
aggravates me so much. It's why we do a whole show about it. People are like, why do you stay like a dog with a bone on TYT? Because they just keep doing the pendulum swing where Cenk will go viral for doing something pretty based. He'll have a really good moment. He'll have an awesome take, and people are like, there's that Cenk Uygur I know, right? And he'll use that to disguise the shady horse shit that he's engaged in. And I want the best for the progressive movement, right? So I want Cenk to be a loud, vocal, aggressive, progressive. I want him to be a force for good for the online left like he was. He was a titan. He was a trailblazer. He really was, guys. He built TYT into a network when nobody was dreaming of building left-wing networks on YouTube, right? So we come at this and we're like, dude, you had so much going for you. And yet he continues to hurt us, right? I feel like Tony Soprano, I've given you so much and yet you still fucking hurt me, Christopher. You know, that's how I feel like with Cenk. It's like, God damn it, dude. Like, how do you still hurt us when you had so much? You could have done so much good. And now they've just sunk into what I consider to be an all-time low. I sent this to Gavin after we got it from an anonymous source, let's just say multi-million subscriber channel that was like, you guys will be interested in this, won't say who, but they were like, this is humiliating. I can't believe it's real. I sent it to Gavin. You were like, let me see the actual link. This looks like a fucking fake screenshot. I was like, no, it's real. It's fucking real. So
I was very skeptical at first. I was like, wait, are you fucking kidding me? This is a real headline that TYT ran on their main channel, not even the conversation, which I'll show you real quick. You guys can see what they're up to, interviewing George Santos for 246 views. That's a day ago. That is genuinely shocking. 246 views, not even 500, and the video's over 24 hours old. That's genuinely crazy. So that's the conversation channel, which doesn't have as many subscribers as the main channel, but this one did make it on to the main channel. And take a look at that fucking title, bro. How Chapter is making Medicare simple. And obviously that's the one that Zach referenced. You know, he had to prove that it was fucking real. I had to, prove that it was real, because I was like, what? There's no fucking way. Obviously, we've been giving Cenk and Anna TYT a lot of crap for accepting the Chapter sponsorship in the first place. And it seems like a lot of their audience totally agrees with our criticism, as you guys are going to see, and the variety of, sketchy funders that are behind it. There's one comment in specific that, names some of those funders. Hopefully it didn't get deleted. But yeah, people talking about how Vivek Ramaswamy is involved with this company, people like Peter Thiel, Palantir, et cetera, et cetera. So, the comment section was not having this, because obviously what this is a TYT segment, an interview, or it's an advertisement disguised as a TYT segment. It's an infomercial. Yeah, it's an infomercial disguised as a real piece of journalism. Like, this is marketed as TYT's The Conversation, which is, again, where they usually have on like fucking candidates or activists or like actual people, not just like whoever the fuck is behind Chapter, this company that they're accepting money from to do ad reads for. So yeah, what was your reaction to this, Zach?
Yeah, my mind was blown because this is a clear departure for the Young Turks. This is a line in the sand. I know a lot of you guys are like, what's even the point? They've been corrupt for so long. This shows there is no line Cenk Uygur will not cross. This shows he has absolutely no moral integrity when it comes to journalism and when it comes to political analysis, right? We come here as two guys who we always take the hardest line when it comes to financing, transparency. We don't do any ad reads. We sure as shit don't take any corporate financing. We never would do anything like this. No news outlet would. But we take a really hard line. We're 100% funded by our Patreons and our super chatters, and it's all very transparent with you guys, right? And that's how we like it. Now, there are other people who have different philosophies that are totally ethical and just a little bit different than us. But because we like to call balls and strikes and be the referees who are nitpickers, we want to make sure that we're 100% by the book. And we just come in that secular talk history of like, don't even take any bit of money, okay? Then I see this, and it is a straight up infomercial where you're talking to someone who is paying you money. So you're doing a paid advertisement, as Gavin said, for a on a news outlet. I mean, this is worse than Dr. Oz. This is like the bottom of the barrel. This is the lowest of the low. You cannot take TYT seriously. And people mentioned it, right? This chapter company founded by Vivek Ramaswamy, all right, awash with money from JD Vance's venture capital firm, right? People throw out around the name Peter Thiel a lot, and it's easy to ignore because he's involved in everything. JD Vance is not involved in everything.
Peter Thiel basically created JD Vance. I mean, JD Vance wouldn't have even won his Senate race if it weren't for Peter Thiel.
Well, 100%. My point is just he's the kingmaker. He's the mafia don in Silicon Valley. So it's kind of like throw a rock and you'll hit somebody that's in some way connected to Peter Thiel. When you look at the Vivek Thiel Vance alliance, it screams like holy corrupt Ohio, right? Like that is what happened, right? Like I'm going to make sure that I'm satisfying all of these three guys and taking control of the state of Ohio. So that's all one thing. The other element of
I wasn't
this,
paying
guys,
attention, I guess.
is that Cenk Uygur, and I repeat this a lot, but it's true. He was one of those guys that really died in the wool for Medicare for All. He was a hardliner when it came to Medicare for All. If you go back to the Young Turks channel, you can see countless episodes of content about Medicare for All. And he abandoned that when he ran for office for president in a primary. He knew it wasn't going to win. He still said, I support a public option. He's then moved even further to the right wing, saying he no longer supports a public option, right? So he's basically to the right of Pete Buttigieg. He's to the right of like Gavin Newsom. He's to the right of every single Democrat.
Wait, is public option not what they replaced Medicare for All with on the populist plank?
No, now it just says negotiate drug prices. So now it's completely removed and it just says negotiate drug prices, which is crazy because you're right. That was the first little sign to us like, whoa, what? But they can't get this chapter funding and still have any kind of public option on their policy board because chapter's not going to want to finance that. Chapter wants to exploit people who have problems with Medicare, right? They want to, basically be another leech on the healthcare industry, right? And they want to suck you dry. And Cenk is trying to use whatever goodwill he has left with his old audience, which he can look at his analytics and say the people who have ridden with you through all this time, it's going to be your plus 55 demographic. So people who are older, who just know that they've been getting the Young Turks as their news for a while. And he's trying to exploit that trust that he's earned with those people to sell them crappy Medicare advice, all the while abandoning one of the principles of his progressive policies.
100%. Super well said. And it's not just the older viewers. He's also targeting viewers who have parents that are in that age range. If you actually listen to the ad reads that they do for Chapter on the main show, he'll say like, if you're getting to the Medicare age or if your parents or relatives are, this is something that will help you. Chapter, which again is a total predatory fucking scam. Obviously, I'm not someone that is in the Medicare market or anything like that. I don't really have any experience with it, but a lot of people, pretty much every single person in the comments of this video, they're on the same page. They say things like they have all the incentives. They all have incentives to sign you up. Don't be fooled. Trust your local Medicare broker in your community, which sounds like sound advice to me. Don't trust this predatory fucking company run by Peter Thiel and Vivek Ramaswamy. Maybe trust the local Medicare broker in your community. Instead, this one says they're trying to cut out all of the small, ethical, local, and needed Medicare brokers. This is just corporate greed. Chapter is simply a big call center. Trust them if you want. I wouldn't. Call centers hire Medicare reps in the summer and have them selling to your grandma in October. So this is actually crazy. I'm glad that we're investigating this because I'm actually finding out about this entire predatory industry, which totally exists. And as this comment says, is actually trying to destroy what is needed, which are the small, ethical, local Medicare brokers, which again, Chapter is trying to come in here and fill the void of after they're destroyed.
I guess it has to be on
this
the
one
water
says
map.
there's no way this is real. Cenk is not interested in Medicare. This comes off so weird, and we're about to show you some of that weirdness in a second. I thought we were against Medicare Advantage. TYT sold out. Chapter is a private equity backed by Peter Thiel, Palantir, and Vivek Ramaswamy. TYT sold out to the right-wing tech bros trying to destroy our country.
I don't think it's specifically related to Palantir, just to throw that out there. It's just that Peter Thiel is financing Palantir, just as a note for anybody who wants to nitpick our coverage.
For sure. This person says, these guys at Chapters blew up my mom's phone, literally called her 10 times a day to sell her a Medicare plan. I listened in on the call, and the guy was clueless, had no idea what he was saying. Stay away. You run content like this, and then you wonder why people like Emma and Sam are calling you out. And this was bad timing, considering that Cenk was just bitching about, Sam and Emma daring to criticize their sponsors and the kind of villains they take money from. For them to literally devote a 23-minute long segment on the main channel masquerading as a journalistic interview, that's disgusting, and it's so fucking incriminating. It's horrible timing for Cenk. It totally proves Sam and Emma correct. And again, this is literally, I mean, we're going to give credit to Cenk in a second, but whatever credit you want to give him, you have to acknowledge that he's simultaneously scamming his fucking audience to enrich himself, which is totally disgusting and unacceptable, specifically, as you keep mentioning, in the context of someone that used to advocate for Medicare for all.
Oh, I completely agree with everything that you just said there. And I even pulled the footage one more time for everybody to see, because this is peak projection, right? Cenk is saying the quiet part out loud. He knows that Emma and Sam Seder, and to be honest, I think he lashes out. This is going to sound like insane hubris and narcissism, but I think one of the main reasons that Cenk continues to lash out at Sam and Emma, despite the fact that Sam and Emma pretty much pay no attention to them, is because Emma and Sam too. Sam's been on our show 3 times, but we have a lot of friendly exchanges with the folks at the Majority Report. Matt Leck, also a good friend of the show, right? And since they haven't excommunicated us mafia style, Cenk's been really pissed off, and we have recently been going hard as fuck on their chapter financing, on the fact that they took Polymarket money, on the fact that they've done multiple rounds of venture capital funding, the fact that they told you guys to invest and put your money in Aspiration Bank, which has been, completely debunked now because the guy that ran it, Joe Sandberg, another guy that has his own page on the Young Turks, you could look it up, Joe Sandberg, he did hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud and is going to go to prison. So these are all the people that they've given you advice to support over the years. And now we're going to see why they might be a little upset people are talking about their sponsors.
Go to stiff upper lip. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just read the first sentence and dispense with it. Said, on a side note, is there any chance that TYT and the Majority Report can get along? Look, guys, I've been through this a million times. Look, I don't care. So they decided that they were going to go on a warpath over the Anna tweet to be. That's how all this started, right? She said, look, I don't mind people being called birthing persons or whatever. I'm happy to call you whatever you want.
That's not what she said.
But I prefer to be called a woman. And apparently that was such an outrageous fascist thing to say that it started this giant war. And then they just keep they attack our sponsors. That's super weirdo. And then
it's not weird at all, actually. It's called journalism. It's called, hey, I want to make sure that the entire media ecosystem that we're all working to make a more progressive and robust leftist space isn't appropriated and misused by people like you who are charlatans who want to build up a platform with a progressive message and then sell us all out when high bidder comes.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And again, just to underscore for people who don't understand why this is different, he's literally using their platform to try to act like this is not an advertisement, but this is actually part of their coverage. Something that they just might independently cover, even if they weren't taking money from this company. That's literally what's happening here. It's genuinely crazy. And this actually isn't the first time that they have literally integrated a sponsor into their coverage in a similar way. When they took the Polymarket money, not only did they call their studio the Polymarket Studio, but they'd also consistently advertised Polymarket as an actual way to predict the election. And they consistently bring it up on screen, put it up on screen, refer to its results, and say that Polymarket is actually better than the polls because people actually have money on the line when it comes to gambling. That was a line that Cenk regurgitated over and over and over again, which is actually just propaganda for Polymarket, which is actually just, trying to get his own viewers to gamble away their money in this online gambling system. It's genuinely crazy, but he would over and over again do it. I'm not sure if that was part of the deal or if he just did it for free. But he now has, repeatedly integrated these products, these corporate sketchy products into his coverage, tricking good-hearted progressives into thinking that these companies are in line with their values when they're absolutely fucking not. Cenk should be doing segments exposing companies like Chapter and talking about how they're destroying those local Medicare brokers and you know, replacing them with this for-profit predatory middleman.
And drama,
yes. And not only that, Polymarket wasn't even legal in America when they started taking this money. They were participating in the laundering of the reputation, and as they were normalizing this Polymarket gambling system. And look, you know, I have a lot of thoughts about gambling. I don't want to live in a nanny state, but I also think that we need to do a way better job of corporate regulation when it comes to online digital gambling, because people are losing their entire livelihoods. I had a really productive debate with my homie Griffin, who's like super, obviously you guys know Griffin. Griffin's like really hard line. He like wants to ban the gambling. And I'm like, hey, we have to do something. I agree. But like, let's not go like way too far with all of these things. One of the things that I do think is deeply pernicious though about a platform like Polymarket is that you can gamble on everything, and you can gamble a tremendous amount, and they do make a concerted effort to make you feel like you're investing and you're not gambling. And I think that that's really pernicious, right? I think you know, when you pull a slot machine, when you spin a roulette wheel, at least there's no argument you are gambling. When you're making it look like shares that are going up and down, and when you're constantly being fed content which is paid for by Polymarket, to make it seem like you're actually just being Gordon Gekko, you're being a super savvy business bro, like you're just actually making sure that you're taking all your gains and you're moving your money around, and you're not being a dope, man, and you're getting it, and then you're gonna lose your fucking money. All right. And I'll tell you, anybody who has any fantasies about getting out of poverty by gambling, it is in fact a fantasy, and it's bullshit that's being sold to so many people right now, right? I can tell you guys, I used to have all these delusions. Oh, I'm gonna gamble on this fight, and I know fighting, and this guy's gonna try. Almost always blows up in your face, and on the off chance you make money, I guarantee you don't pull it out. You just double down on the next fight, and you lose your money. So it's honestly just from like a moral standpoint, a horrible thing to advertise on your progressive political show, almost worse than Chapter, which I think is potentially the worst thing they could have possibly advertised on their show, because it just shows that they have no morals, no commitment to Medicare for all. They don't care about the millions of Americans who are underserved by their healthcare providers. They'd rather take a cutoff from the mafiaistic, predatory system that we have now, and dilute their views and their solutions that are so obvious. I mean, it's offensive and disgusting.
Yep, 100%. And like I said, they got called out by their entire audience here. I didn't really see any single commenter defending this segment. And before we move on to, again, giving Cenk a little bit of credit, let's take a look at just a few minutes of this awkward, fake, conversation, which is really just an advertisement.
We've got a great interview for you guys, and Kobe's in the house. Kobe Blumenfeld Gantz, he's the CEO and founder of Chapter. Now, Chapter is one of our sponsors, so I'm going to tell you that up front. But what I want to talk to you about is Medicare, because there's a lot more I want to learn about Medicare, and you're an expert. So, all right, first of all, your industry, keeping it real, and you guys are about to see how real we're keeping it in a second. Your industry's got a lot of issues, right?
Just a few.
Yeah. So first of all, what does it mean to you?
And see, he's already laying the groundwork. Oh, the industry has a lot of, Medicare has a lot of issues. That's why these for-profit predatory companies like Chapter have to come in to fill in the gaps. Like, it's just classic fucking capitalist propaganda to, again, fleece progressive viewers of the Young Turks of their hard-earned fucking money in what is ultimately a scam. It's genuinely crazy. Again, I was so ready to come out here and give Cenk so much credit today and celebrate him. But you can't overlook this. This is genuinely disgusting. It's a breach of the progressive values and of the trust he's built up for fucking years. I actually think it is worse than the Polymarket thing, as you said, because again, it's just the predatory nature of this, regardless of who's behind it, regardless of the fact that it has Vivek involved. It's just an incredibly profitable industry that, again, should be exposed on the Young Turks broadcast, not promoted.
Yeah, it really is reflective of the state of media right now, and more important than ever to have referees out here, right? A lot of people they call us drama mongers, they call us the TMZ guard. One thing that we do hope to provide as a service to you guys is a little bit of evidence as to, hey, this is a pernicious news broadcasting outlet, right? If you want to get entertainment from them, if you want to consume content from them, that's your business. But you are getting content from somebody who is trying to manipulate you, somebody who is trying to take advantage of you, and somebody who doesn't respect you at all. I can't imagine taking $400,000 in small dollar donations. That's more money than Gavin and I have ever made in the history of our channel. If you add it up, we've done this for 5 years. That's far more money than we've ever made in the history of the channel, right? Taking all of that in small dollar donations,
right?
Building a studio for yourself, and then renaming it the Polymarket Studio, funded by Peter Thiel, a cryptocurrency market. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, you have to have no soul. You have to have no standards. You have to have no morality. And what it really is it's just Cenk is in a position in his life where he's willing to work backwards from whatever he wants, and he'll rationalize anything.
Yup, 100%, 100%. Either way.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard.
I keep reading the switching from analog audio when I'm not wearing headphones.
Tell us what you are up to right now with your fight against fascism, your fight also against neoliberalism, and the upcoming Black People's March on the White House.
Welcome to Current Affairs. My name is Nathan Robinson. I am the editor-in-chief of Current Affairs magazine. It is my great pleasure and privilege to welcome to the program John Fugelsang. He is an actor, comedian, writer, TV host, radio host, political commentator, author of the new book, his first, Separation of Church and Hate, a sane person's guide to taking back the Bible from fundamentalists, fascists, and flock-fleecing frauds, which is fun to say.
I love when a radio host. I love when a host has the guts to read the second part of that title. By the way, a lot of hosts don't have the guts to take it on. Thank you, Nathan. Much respect.
I got it in take one. His bio on the back of the book says is one of the weirder bios that you'll read. John Fugelsang has been murdered on CSI, picketed by the Westboro Baptist Church. He has gotten George Harrison to give his final performance on VH1 and debated Jerry Falwell and David Duke. Did you really debate Jerry Falwell?
Like
That's crazy.
I did, yes, sir. Yeah, on Bill Maher's show, yeah. When I was very young.
Well, now you've given the kind of ultimate response to that brand of Christianity. And so I wanted to start here. The first thing I want to do is I just want to read this little thing you've got in the intro here, where you say, Jesus was a peaceful, radically nonviolent revolutionary who wasn't American, never spoke English, who hung around lepers, hookers, and crooks, never sought tax cuts for rich Nazarenes, was anti-wealth, anti-death penalty, anti-public prayer too, never asked lepers for a copay, never called poor people lazy, never even slightly anti-gay, never mentioned abortion, supported paying taxes, and was a long-haired, community organizing, authority questioning, anti-slut-shaming, brown-skinned, Palestinian, unarmed, homeless Jew. But only if you believe what's actually in the Bible. So, John, let me start by asking you, what is the kind of Christianity that you are responding to or critiquing with this book?
This is a book for any believer of any faith or any atheist or agnostic who will ever have to deal with or live with or work with a far right-wing Christian nationalist or fundamentalist in their family, their social media feed, their job, their school, or their government. It's a response to Christian nationalism and right-wing Christianity and the allegedly Christian politics of Donald Trump's movement. Even for atheists, for anyone who wants to deal with these folks, if you're arguing or debating the issues of our day with a Christian nationalist, chances are Jesus is on your side whether you believe him or not. And the right wing in America is trying to force a very narrow, Jesus-free version of this religion on the American society at every level of culture and civic life. And I think it's going to be more important than ever to take away their camouflage and point out elegantly that these people trying to force the Bible on us don't actually follow the Jesus parts of the Bible.
Yeah, one of the things that's core to what you're doing here, is, as you say, is you're really, it sounds kind of funny to say you're putting Jesus back in Christianity, but you emphasize over and over that the people who are the most publicly pious, proclaiming Christians overlook most of Jesus's the teachings of Jesus that are the core of the core of his philosophy, and also are the very difficult things to live up to, the things that call upon us to look past or get over our uglier instincts to hate one another, to kill one another, to be bigoted, and to, as you say in the book, help the poor, care for the sick, turn the other cheek, and be kind to the incarcerated. So tell us a little bit more. I quoted your little intro paragraph about who Jesus really was there. Why you think Christianity's return to the figure of Jesus?
If Christianity wants to survive, then they can go back to the teachings of Jesus, because those are popular. You know, caring for the less fortunate, not hating people, not being into war, not being into violence, looking out for the rights of women, treating women as equals, not discriminating against vulnerable minorities, fighting for societies to care for the poor and provide health care and to be decent to immigrants and prisoners. These are all ideas that are very popular with young people, and they align very well with the actual teachings of Jesus. For churches that want to survive in the 21st century, they can do that. But if churches want to keep on telling you who you hate right now, be it transgender people, be it the Christian refugees at our border that we've been coached to call illegals, be it foreigners, Muslims, liberals, women who may have had abortions. I mean, if your church is telling you, not telling you to love your enemies, but telling you who your enemies are, you're not really in a church. And this is just a response to all the meanness and cruelty masquerading as Christianity, because everywhere I go, I meet people who were raised religious, and they now consider themselves spiritual, because they're so turned off to the hypocrisy and cruelty of right-wing Christianity. I mean, look at how the churches are empty. It's not because people don't like God or Jesus or Santa Claus. They don't like the meanness. So I don't know if religion will survive or not, but I do know that going forward, the teachings of Jesus are actually not just good for religion, they're good for society, they're good for the economy. Putting the Last of Us first, spending money to make sure that everyone has health coverage, that we fight poverty, well, that's just, smart economics. Trickle down, 45 years of trickle down have showed us putting the rich first doesn't work unless you're rich and you can buy politicians to keep that system going for 45 years. What Biden did in the first 2 years, just pouring money into the middle class and poor people, we had the lowest rate of childhood poverty in history in 2021, which shows we could do that if we wanted. And I think COVID proved that, a strong economy needs a healthy living wage workforce where everyone has health insurance. I mean, taking care of all of us is really good for all of us. So I just happen to think that the Jesus teachings are also smart capitalism.
One of the things that you, do in this book, in fact, it's sort of the core of this book, is very close textual analysis of Scripture, because you want to prove that your interpretation here of what it means to be a Christian, what it means to take Jesus' teaching seriously, you want to prove that it's correct. And so one of the things I noticed, you had me on to talk about my book Responding to the Right, which was sort of it kind of had a similar structure where taking right-wing arguments and then going, here's what they say, but here's what you should actually believe. And you're kind of doing something similar here, which suggests that you do believe that despite your harsh language towards the sects of Christianity that you are debunking here, you do see the value in argument and dialogue and tell me a little bit about why you're doing
You can't hate these people. You can't hate these people back. I mean, hate doesn't work against a hater. It just makes you as stupid and counterproductive as them. And I think social media proves it every day. We see very smart liberal people who lose their minds with anger on Twitter and get in these, flame wars. I've been guilty of that before. But you know, when it comes to actual scripture, I find that if you engage
Flame
your
War, again, I
right
haven't heard
wing
that in
friends
so
or
long.
loved ones or coworkers
Right,
on
radio
what the
hosts
Bible
getting
actually
into Flame Wars.
says, they might not agree with you, and they probably won't. But they may appreciate you took the time to meet them on the pages of the Bible and discuss things on their terms. I just have come to believe that you'll get a lot farther by convincing
on a
your
hunt.
racist
I
uncle
want a
that
push
Jesus
that will
wasn't
keep
an
a wounded
immigrant-hating
bull from running
homophobe
off.
than if you just call your uncle an immigrant-hating homophobe. And while you might not win them over, if you can debate what's in the Bible with kindness and without getting angry and with just knowing the scripture well
sleep
enough
potion?
and not returning their hate,
He wants a slow
you might
potion,
not reach
right?
them, but you'll reach their wives, you'll reach their kids, you'll reach everybody else at the cookout. Politicians, Democrats, and the media are not going to do this. They're terrified of talking about actual religion. They're not going to talk about how homophobia is an insult to Jesus' memory. They're not going to talk about how you can't support the death penalty and claim you follow Jesus. They're going to play dumb about it and not ask the harsh questions. So
Give
it's going to
that
be up
hog
to
some
us,
codeine.
convincing the conservatives that hate is not a Christian value.
You know, because a lot of people on our side of things politically have kind of given up on the idea of engaging with, debating,
You have something I can
convincing
use to start a fire
people
instead.
on the right. And you clearly have not given up. You have here on page 61, you have, you know, tips for dialogue.
I
You've
do.
been, you know, keep focusing on the actual teachings here: love, compassion, social
I need to turn some of
justice.
these
You
people
know,
away. I'm getting
know
too
the
good.
text, be ready to challenge misinterpretations, focus on the principles you agree on, model respectful dialogue. I feel like you're one of the last people who believes this can be productive or constructive.
Well, I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not saying that you will win them over. I wrote this book for people who feel like they've been gaslit and that they're crazy, who grew up learning that Christianity was this religion of love and peace and empathy and service to the less fortunate. And then you grow up to find out, no, it's actually this really mean, shitty, right-wing, pretty racist, tax-free clique. And for me, it's like, you know, again, I'm not writing this for the conservatives, for the right-wingers. I'm writing this for folks who have to deal with them, to say, no, you're not crazy. You know, it was 45 years ago, the Republican Party gave up on racial segregation. Throughout the 70s, Jerry Falwell's big issue was that Jimmy Carter's IRS was going after universities, taking away their tax-exempt status if they practiced racial segregation. In the 70s, right? By the early 80s, they had given up on that, and they went for abortion. And what have we seen in the last 45 years? The abortion saved the
Not
right
getting
wing.
any
After
evil customers,
segregation
what
and
the
Dr.
hell?
King and civil rights, after Nixon, the right wing was in the wilderness. Abortion saved them as an issue. It redefined American
have a
Christianity
potion that
for the
will
last
help plants
45
grow
years.
faster.
2
I need
generations
some
of Christians have
special
been
flowers for an
raised to
experiment, but all I
prioritize
have right
something
now is the
Jesus never
seeds.
talked about over everything Jesus ever did talk about. Most conservative Christians probably don't know that the Bible never condemns abortion. There's no penalties for abortion. None of the prophets ever mention abortion, but Jesus is hardcore against the death penalty.
Okay.
I'm just tired of seeing my parents' religion used as cover for meanness and hypocrisy. I'm not saying the Bible's pro-abortion, but it certainly isn't against it. Abortions are legal and free in Israel right now
Yeah,
because
because it did not already
Jesus' religion, that religion that's the star of the book, never banned abortions. And most Americans don't even know this. Their emotions have been manipulated for 45 years to go for protecting the unborn, and then they wind up voting against all the direct commandments of Jesus in favor of guys like Donald Trump.
You mentioned your parents there, because
Like I said, I want to come back again to the idea of Donald Trump as sort of a hero of antiquity. But before we do, I want to take a digression to the other story that's been heating up the interwebs, and I'm referring to David.
Turning now to the Charlie Kirk investigation, some very strange developments happening at the very top of the U.S. intelligence community and the FBI. Let's go and put this up here on the screen. Officials' access to FBI files in Charlie K case drew a pushback. That's a very New York Times way of putting some of the details here. So let me set the stage. So the person who is in front of you, if you're just watching, is Joe Kent. He is the National Counterterrorism Center Director. He is a deputy to Tulsi Gabbard, the ODNI, the the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Now, currently, there is a long brewing fight, apparently, in the administration over the Charlie Kirk case because Joe Kent examined FBI files in the last several weeks to, quote, investigate whether the man charged with assassinating Charlie Kirk had support from someone else, a foreign power, or another entity. The inquiry by Kent, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, alarmed Kash Patel, the director of the FBI. Mr. Patel and other senior officials believed Mr. Kent was overstepping, treading on FBI responsibilities, and potentially interfering with the investigation and the prosecution of the suspect, Tyler Robinson. But supporters of Mr. Kent say he was just doing his job, running down leads, making sure no foreign or domestic groups were linked to Mr. Kirk's death. Robinson was accused of killing Kirk last month. Mr. Kent is the confirmed Senate director of the Counterterrorism Center. Quote, Mr. Patel was troubled that Kent had gone through FBI material related to the case. Mr. Kent's efforts were a topic then at a White House meeting, a top meeting with Patel, Kent, Gabbard, J.D. Vance, and the White House Chief of Staff. The people interviewed by the Times were granted anonymity, they say. FBI and the DOJ generally keep tight control over these evidence in criminal cases when they're preparing for trial, where the government documents may have to be turned over to the defense and could be used to poke holes in the prosecution's case. So what they say specifically is that while Robinson is currently only facing state charges, they were concerned that his effort could provide fodder to defense lawyers who could use the notion that there more than one person was involved to raise reasonable doubt in the minds of jurors about the case itself.
Well, Kash has raised plenty of reasonable doubt in his own operations of this.
Look, I mean, I gotta tread lightly here. There's so much conspiracy stuff, you know, around all of this.
I love the way his
I
eyes
will
pop.
say it's pretty weird that they're getting. First of all, it's a state case, okay? So this doesn't even have anything to do with the feds. Now, number two, like technically, would they even have subpoena power over what the National Counterterrorism Director is doing? Like, no, right? I mean, would technically it would be a secret inside this entire time. Two, again, I mean, I can see how if you look at this, you're like, wait, so Kash Patel freaked out at Joe Kent for saying, are there any foreign governments or powers involved in this? That's what he freaked out at him for? That's a legitimate question, right? I mean, look, it could be a turf war and a pissing match over the FBI and the counterterrorism director, but the very fact that this came out is a really bad look, I think, for Kash Patel. It also just, I mean, you know, considering the circumstances of the case, like, we have not learned anything new in weeks. And there's still a lot of people, obviously Candace and others, who are like raising questions about the whole thing. I do think a lot of it goes pretty insane and far, you know, being like Israel killed Charlie Kirk or any of that. I don't think there's a lot of evidence to back that up. But you and I both know that when something like this is happening and the agencies are acting sketchy, maybe, I'm not saying that happened, I'm saying maybe something sketchy is happening behind the scenes. We have genuinely no earthly idea. And I think the fact that it was leaked too, by the way, and you can only leak something like this if the people directly involved are the ones who can confirm it, does tell us that people inside the building are trying to sound the alarm. And that also makes me ask a lot of questions about the circumstances here.
This is another interesting section. By the way, this is the first mainstream outlet that I've seen publish any new journalism with regard to Charlie Kirk's assassination, you know, in weeks, if not months.
For sure.
So that to me has been frustrating as well, because, you know, you had Ken Klippenstein immediately after able to get in touch with people around Tyler, get some understanding of who was he, how did this happen, like, you know, at least glean some sense of who this person is. And no mainstream outlet has done that kind of legwork. In any case, listen to this section of the New York Times report. They say, in the hours after Mr. Kirk's killing, before Mr. Robinson was identified as the suspect, officials across American intelligence agencies were investigating whether any foreign government was involved in a plot to kill Mr. Kirk. Some officials inside the government raised questions about the assassin's abilities and training after security footage was released of him jumping from a high ledge. Early in the investigation, evidence was collected that contained words often associated with anti-fascist writing, namely in the inscriptions on bullets found in the rifle that killed Mr. Kirk. So in any case, that's also a new piece of information that right after this happened, our own government was looking into whether there were any foreign governments that were involved in this. Now, you also have, you know, the use of Charlie Kirk's murder as a pretext by this administration to, you know, you've got NSPM 7 and this creation of a mythology around Antifa being some nationwide terror network, et cetera. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if Joe Kent was also looking into, oh, well, what, you know, left-wing groups might he have been associated with, et cetera. And as Sagar said, it could be just a turf war, and it could be that Kash Patel, for whatever reason, really wants to keep his hands wrapped around this and keep other people out. The other thing that really comes out of this is, you know, Kent and Tulsi Gabbard are allies, apparently, in the administration. And just as she was sort of shunted to the side during the buildup to the Iran strikes, it appears that she is still very much on the outs in terms of, you know, her influence and sway within the administration as well, and has, you know, rubbed a number of people the wrong way and doesn't seem to have a lot of power on the inside.
Let's put C4 on the screen. Okay. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't necessarily have to be conspiracy. It really could be like a turf war. C4 shows this. The FBI now opposes a push for Gabbard to take the lead on counterintelligence. So the backstory here is that the FBI made this disclosure in a pointed letter over the concern that Tulsi Gabbard, who's the director of national intelligence, would take the lead on all counterintelligence issues. I will say, I mean, here's the thing. If you look at where things are right now in the admin, this is technically not how it's supposed to work. And let me just explain a little bit. For years, the FBI did have the lead in counterintelligence. Now, the reason why, after 9/11, we established the Office of the Director of National Intelligence was because the FBI, the CIA, the geospatial intelligence agencies, all these other agencies were not working together under a centralized figure. That's how 9/11 happened, because the FBI and the CIA were in a pissing contest, literally like what you're seeing right now. So they said, we need to establish this office like the ODNI to oversee all of them that they report up to. This hasn't materialized in practice. The CIA remains vastly powerful, the FBI remains vastly powerful, and the ODNI has been a bit of a joke over the last 20 years. And nonetheless, they have statutory authority, technically, to be the actual intelligence director for counterintelligence, specifically also to make sure, again, that you just have the FBI and all the NSA, everyone working under a unified directive, let's say for a counterintelligence measure. Now, if you're the FBI, you don't want to give that up, because spy investigations is like a long history of Hoover and of using his blackmail, basically, over the last 50, 60 years. I think what this comes back to is some of it is incompetence, a lot of it is turf war, but in that, there's a lot of room for screwery, right? In terms of when you have turf over this investigation, then you can control what's getting leaked and what's not, and you're getting upset about Tulsi getting involved in counterintelligence. Like, why would you be upset about that? Are you trying to cover something up? Like, maybe not. It really may just be turf war, but in the interim, like, maybe you are, right? And that's why, just watching all of this, I think something weird is happening at the time. I think it's a turf war struggle, because look, Tulsi, I've criticized her a lot, obviously, over Iran, etc. I will say, at the very least, her and Joe are much more in an anti-war, anti-neocon stance even inside this administration than a lot of people may be able to appreciate. And I think that they are being punished for that. That's what I think.
They've been sidelined.
That's right.
Very clearly.
Yeah.
Let's put C2 up on the screen. And yeah, also that's not to let Tulsi off.
Yeah, I'm not letting
going along with
they
all
can
this.
resign if they want.
We're just talking about the internal dynamics here and who does have the ear of the president, who does have the power, which is very clear from the reporting you've done on Venezuela, Sagar. So this is one avenue. Lance, the trans lover, has gone missing.
Where is he?
You know, there's a lot of questions.
I mean, that's weird. It's weird.
Right, about, and again, you know, the New York Post, it actually makes sense that they did this reporting. And they did some of, if memory serves, like in the early days, right, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, you know, they had some of the initial leaks and were able to be out first with a variety of information. But, you know, the lack of additional information on Lance, I think, is also when Lance's identity, the government is asserting as a key part of Tyler Robinson's radicalization to this point, you know, that is noteworthy as well. There's another track of this, too, that I just wanted to update everybody on. I don't know if you guys have been following this case. We could put C3 up on the screen. They actually, in Tennessee, arrested this dude for literally posting a Charlie Kirk meme, okay? And it was not even a really crazy thing. Like, it was, you know, it was a little edgy. It was like the president, it was a picture of Trump. And then I think it was after a school shooting, he said something like, they're going to have to get over it. And he included that quote. And that's literally just that is what he was arrested for. He was held on $2 million bond. He has been in prison for over 30 days, so over a month. This man, who's former law enforcement, by the way, held in prison for over a month for posting a meme on Facebook, okay? And credit to some, intercepted this report here, but I watched yesterday, there was a local journalist who did an interview with the sheriff and showed him the meme and was like, where's the threat? Because the reason the bond was so high is they claimed that it was a threat against a school. Again, utterly preposterous, because the context of Trump's quote was about a school shooting. So they construed this as a threat against a school. Okay, so the journalist is showing the sheriff, like, where's the threat in here? And of course, he has really no answer. He's like, oh, well, I think he knew what he was doing, et cetera, et cetera. So after, I think, public pressure, and people I know have been calling into the sheriff's office, whatever, they finally, the local prosecutors decide, okay, we're going to drop the charges, and this guy has been set free. But crazy situation, held in prison for over 30 days for a Facebook meme. And I hear a lot from the right about whatever's going on in the UK, okay? And that's fine. I think I prefer our speech laws to theirs. But where are you on this one? Because this is complete and total insanity that someone could be denied their liberty for over a month because of a slightly, not even really, like slightly edgy Facebook meme that they posted.
Yeah, we do have the report that he is free now. Which I guess is good. I think what's actually crazier about this is that this was a local state case, which I still have no idea how you get a $2 million. I mean, I've literally seen reports about murderers and rapists who get less of a bond and who spend less time in prison or in jail awaiting release than this guy. How you even brought the case or the charges against him is literally totally nuts.
So apparently Tennessee passed some law about these sorts of quote-unquote threats that at the time people were raising concerns about. Like, what do you mean?
What was the justification?
What was the justification? I don't know the origin of the law or why they did it. This is something that happened, like, I don't know, maybe last year. Okay. And that was the law that they cited. So all of the concerns about the way this could be abused to quash speech, I basically come to fruition in this case where they're arresting someone over a Facebook meme.
This is crazy. So yeah, I'm looking into the actual law itself. Yeah, wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy.
Probably unconstitutional.
I'm sure it should, he should sue.
Be challenged.
He should sue.
Absolutely
he should sue for damages,
for sure.
for emotional distress of being held in prison. I agree with you. I think it's totally absurd. And yes, you're right. I mean, I don't know. At a certain point too, we've been covering this now for a long time. Like we just yesterday did the Hamdi case where the guy was detained, and I mean, okay, like he said some not nice things about October 7th. Whatever. It's about October 7th. That's not about us. It's literally enforcement for a foreign country.
And he's still being held.
And he's being held in ICE detention. I'm like, okay, I mean, look, I'm not saying it's good. I don't think it's a great thing that he said. I definitely don't think it was artful in the way that he said it. But the equivalence that I come back to is like, I literally see posts of Israelis being like, remember that guy in the Israeli podcast who said it makes him feel better to watch babies starving in Gaza? Remember that?
Yeah.
He's like, it makes us happy.
It makes me enjoy my food more. It makes me enjoy my
I'm gonna use the bathroom. Pull some shit. Or die. Was bunnies. Ta-da. Just a note, as Sakuko's mother, I want to thank you for apologize for what happened. It seems Sakuko since she was as a child, she always hated when lights to go. The dark moon thought that she I believe the reason unaccustomed talking to shamefully. She has since reflected on her behavior. Sorry for how she acted. Said both her and my apology. Jesus. No! Did it fall out? Okay, no. Okay. God. I thought that was technically not. Not sure where to set the volume for that. God, it's so sensitive. Ollie or something? Pregnant room. shit. I haven't even tried to kill one of these things before. So bad. Right, go. I should open the Holly doors over there, whatever. Okay, no, I can't. Okay. Over with. Oh, there's a map. Wow. I think there wasn't a map. Can I get back to the shrine from here? You really managed to tap me though. Sucks. Hold on. Not ready. Oh, fuck, I wasn't ready. Fuck. I was like super not ready. I should have healed when I was debating doing it outside of there. Oh, I didn't even know I had a pellet. Anything over there? What? Okay. Dude, I got so screwed over by the game. You know what? No, fuck that. Fuck, man. What the fuck? Ah! That was really lame. Sorry, I thought. I know, I shouldn't have been able to jump through the wall necessarily, but I'm still mad it didn't work. Or should have like a cancel, I don't know. Termination. Yeah, let's try that one more time. Wait, did I even turn it? Creepy. Oh, you fucking idiot. Okay. Where am I going? I can't have just been to let her out. Like, what the fuck? Can I pull it again? Like, am I missing something? I need to kill it. Whoa! Okay, I'm fucked. I'm so fucked. I mean, I'm fine, but that sucked. Oh, I mean, I'm just gonna go in and pull it again. Oh, okay. Oh wait, no, but this is backwards. Oh, wait, I see, I see. No, I guess it's not it then. Oh wait, okay, actually. I should have saved in there. No, 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 no. It's not on this side, right? Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay, cool. Hey, Mr. Rabbit, guess what? I made my first ever friend today. Her name is Shimizu Hinako. But Mr. Rabbit, she's my first. I'm a little scared. What if she throws me away and forgets me? I told my new bestest friend Hinako this. She said she'd never ever abandon me. Not ever. She promised me. God damn, she sounds kind of... What if Hinako breaks her promise? What if she betrays me? She's lying. No. I don't want to think about it. Hinako said she would never leave me. She promised. You have to believe her because friends do right. I'll make you pay. Oh wait, this Naku kill me actually? I thought it was Rinko. I think I'm in here, doesn't it? Here, so it's gonna change it to Triforce. And I go out there. Okay. Where am I trying to? Trying to even get. Like ultimately, I mean, I know where I'm trying to get to right now. Oh no 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 no! Fuck you! You fucking asshole! Jesus Christ, that thing got me. That was fucking, goddamn it, jump scared. Fuck. Awesome. I guess I should get a freaking. No, I'm not going to. Like, get in and. No, I'm not going to. No, don't worry. Thank you. Man, I really wish I could find like an Emma. Shit. My family has served as caretakers of Senensugi Shrine for generations. For the past few decades, the shrine's popularity has been. It came time for my dead priest got a regular office job. Mom and Dad are always saying negative things about the shrine. Even my grandfather. Whatever. Upkeeping Senensugi Shrine will die with his generation. I help out as a I love how dignified the rituals are. I feel like my soul is being cleansed. I think I'd like to. He's moving faster. Something over there sees me too. Oh, okay, I see where I'm going. I hope there wasn't an Emma out there. Oh, it's a puzzle. Okay, fuck. Cool. There was probably an Emma out there. Oh no, is there an Emma out there? No, I would have seen it before. No. Okay. Definitely not one at the end of that corridor, for sure. Oh, okay. Two must face each other as one. Height as fast shading of light. of help. Lift their heads to level. Any other variable? Control the field. Damn. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I didn't mean to do that. Nice. A lampshade found near Saku's cell. The design resembles sharp talons. Lampshade. Okay. Talons tangle. After bidding farewell to Sakuka. The Sakuga didn't kill her. That's just like Sakuga. Like Sakuga's. I'm not gonna analyze it right now. I'm just gonna play it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Before anything happens, let me just get a save in there. Wait, what? No.
ひなこ、今日は一段と綺麗だね。
Alright, I'm actually gonna have to end it. Because I have to be up really early in the morning. So. Alright. Yeah, hello. But like I said, I'm ending it. Bye.